Hey, what's going on, everybody? Manny here once again. Welcome to DFS Zone, your source for daily fantasy sport lineup advice for the NBA and the NFL. Got a brand new video for you, ladies and gentlemen, today. But before I get started, like always, I appreciate you guys drop a like on the video. And if you're new to the channel, first time here, never ever seen any of my videos and have not become a part of the DFS Zone community, the only thing you need to do, ladies and gentlemen, is subscribe down below. Make sure you put that bell icon on the right hand side. Make sure you click that on. This way you'll be notified of any of my new NFL or NBA lineup advice videos when they when they are posted. All right, with that being said, today is Tuesday, November the 20th, 2018, 4-game slate in the association. We're going to get right to it. I'm going to do the best I can. 4-game slate, like anybody that's followed me through WNBA, NBA season, when I started the channel 7 months ago, I always tell people 2 games, 3-game, 4-game slates. Pretty much, though, you have a lot of availability. You can definitely, pretty much everybody's available. Look for some value. Obviously, today there is some value. There's a couple of guys that might be hurt and might be out. There are some guys that are already out. So we're going to just take it from there. But at point guard today, I personally feel today, first of all, I had a pretty decent night last night. Came very, very close in the after hours event. I usually do pretty well in the after hour events as opposed to the main, but I definitely tried it in the main. I did cash, I think, a few dollars only with one lineup. But, of course, my dud player of the day yesterday was Mr. Donovan Mitchell. Definitely didn't pan out. But all the others, Harold, I mean, there was a lot of guys that really, really played well yesterday and came through, including some of my budget advice. I did take Bellinelli. He came up big for me in the after hours. But the after hours event, I did cash in the 100-player, $2 event, 100-player, $1 event. I came in second. I like to play those just to give myself an opportunity to win some of my money back that I played during the course of the night. And then at the same time, I did play just one line last night. I decided to just play one line in the main event, in the after hours event, and I came in 73rd place. At one point, I was in 26th place. I got as close as 26th. It looked pretty darn good, but to think about it, this is what I want to share with you. And another thing I want to share, if you haven't been with me long enough, I usually post my results, especially 300 and NBA. I like to call it the DFS Zone 300 Club. And anytime that I post over 300 or I win, even if it's slightly under 300, I will be sharing whatever those numbers are. So this way you have, actual proof that I do play DFS and that I'm actually playing. I'm not giving advice, and I basically am using some of the players or all the players that I definitely recommend to you guys in some of my lineups, because I make multiple lineups. I don't make a core 5 and say, hey, you know what, I'm just going to stick with these 5 in all my lineups. Sometimes I do, don't get me wrong. But there are some times that I definitely like to make maybe 2, possibly even 3 core lines. So, but last night I made that one line, and like I said, a 303 was my score. It's my 4th night in a row over 300. The night before yesterday, I finished in 850-some place in the main. Last night I finished in 73rd, so I'm getting close and close. It's just a matter of time. But that information down in the comment, matter of fact, it's just plain simple. At DFS Zone, if you are not following me as a follower on Instagram, just definitely go there. All my postings, any live video, anything that I might want to post, I post on Instagram, and I'm going to start doing that. I started doing it a little bit during the WNBA season and Major League Baseball season on my Twitter account, so I will definitely start doing that as well, because I do know we have a lot of new viewers viewing my videos now that have come in during the NBA season as well as during the NFL season. So I think it's important to share results with people so people can see how real and it really is, that I'm not just giving you all this information and I'm not actually really playing, which would be like kind of ridiculous for me to spend that kind of time. But this is basically what I do on a regular basis for myself, so that's the reason why I did the channel and be able to share with others. But again, that information will be there on my Instagram account, and you can also make sure that you follow me on my Twitter account. This way you'll be able to see either or on Instagram or on Twitter. All that information is down in the video description of the video, and there will also be another link for today. Anybody wants to come and join our Slack group, you can do that as well. It's totally free. You just got to download the app if you don't have it already, and I will send you an invitation link. It will be in the bottom of this description. It's a new one pretty much every day, because it's like 24 hours only that is valid. All right, enough with the yapping. Let's get right to it. So point guard today, I think today, going into today's game, I really believe that you could possibly pay down at guards and really pay up. I think the value for me, in my opinion, is in the front court today with power forwards and centers. But that's just me. My whole idea is to be able to share with you guys what I think are possibly good plays for us if you are looking for players in certain positions Don't expect you to go out and play all the guys that I mentioned, but I am giving you, by the time it's all said and done, I am giving you 10, 15 possible plays. So you got a little small player pool that you can build around there. And that's what I like to prefer. That's what I prefer to give to my audience, is to give you guys a lot of options, okay? So this way you're not just pinpointing just one or two or three players and saying, hey, Manny was there. I'm opening the doors and giving you an opportunity to see different options and choose your players as you go. You can do your own due diligence as well, all right? So again, right to it, John Wall, Damian Lillard, these guys are definitely guys in play. If I'm going to pay up for any of these guys today, I probably would pay for John Wall because he is at home. He is $200 more expensive here, but I'm basically going to come down. Kyle Lowry, this is something to definitely watch out for because that will open up some value for Mr. Fred VanVleet as well as Mr. Dillon Wright. So you got to definitely keep that into consideration. If Kyle Lowry is out, now that opens up the door for some value down below. I'm going to come down to Spencer Dinwiddie because I like to give you guys, like I said before, I don't want to be just giving you the top stud guys of the night. If they are in play, I'm going to tell you I'm going to have some exposure to them. Like I said, I will probably have some exposure to John Wall tonight, but I'll probably be more so on Spencer Dinwiddie, and I think that's the proper play here. 6,300, pay down a little bit at point guard, and be able to utilize that savings up front like the way I would like to share with you guys today. Spencer Dinwiddie, not bad at all. Since Karis LeVert's injury, obviously we knew he was going to get some more minutes. I did state that to you guys when Mr. LeVert went down. Dinwiddie was a fine play for the Nets last year when Mr. Russell was out. And now that he's stepped in, he's pretty much being the point guard, sometimes running the two, but 14 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, 25.6 fantasy points per game, 6,300 here on Fanduel. He is 5,500 on DK. Only need 27 there to meet value. Over here, you need about 31, 32, which he is capable of doing. He has definitely a good upside. As you can see here, he pretty much put up a 50 spot against Washington 2 nights ago. We're going to go right to the cruncher, and we're going to go right to Spencer Dinwiddie. And again, the usage rate is up now because he's playing. In the last 4 games since he started, he's pretty much at 26, 25, 23, and 34. The minutes are there, 28 to as much as 31 minutes over the course of the last 4 games. And we always say it here all the time. I say it all the time. We want minutes, and we want to be able to get a good usage rate. And at the same time, we want to make sure that he is getting a good amount of shots in that time that he's on the floor and being utilized. Well, he had a poor shooting night the other day. When you shoot 3 of 16 and 1 of 6 from 3, you're going to put up a 22. But that's okay. Dinwiddie is, they're all entitled to having a bad night. The whole objective here is hopefully he'll come back and play a better game today, and I think he has a good opportunity to do that. But he's getting more than enough shots. You're talking about 12 to 13 shots, 14 shots a game, and he's also taking up maybe as many as 5 threes per game as well. And he's also aggressive enough to get to the foul line and get on the free throw line as well. And he rebounds and he assists and he does a little bit of everything. Didn't have any steals and blocks in the last game, just a poor overall game for Mr. Dinwiddie, but he is capable of getting those steals as well. We're going up against Miami, as you can see here, 22nd in defending point guards thus far this year. They are only 18th, so they're in the middle of the pack. They've done pretty well as far as fantasy points allowed to point guards this year, but they are allowing in that 18th position. They have allowing 31 fantasy points per game. They did give up 34 to Mr. Collison, 38 to Mr. Reggie Jackson, 47 to Mr. Wall, 51 to Trae Young, 35 to Kemba Walker. All of them were pretty much defended by Mr. Dragic, who is out, and at least 2 of these players were defended by Josh Richardson. So we will see if Josh Richardson will be on Dinwiddie today. I don't think so. And then we already know that Mr. Dragic is not even playing, as well as Mr. Tyler Johnson. So I really like the matchup for Mr. Spencer Dinwiddie today. So Spencer Dinwiddie is my play there. And then, of course, due to the factors that Lowry might be out, I definitely feel that someone we got to consider is Fred VanVleet. And if you're not on VanVleet, definitely you got to think of Mr. Wright. You got to think of either one of those two. So VanVleet at 4,500, and he's 4,900, $400 more expensive on DK. So I'm going to love him a lot more on FanDuel. And he's basically just a value play because we know he is capable of getting you. As you can see in his last game, he got 33. He's capable of getting you in the 30s. Let me find him. Where are you, VanVleet? He's capable of getting you in the 30s. His usage rate is going to go up if he's playing and he's starting today like he came in and he put in, in this blowout game he played 29 minutes. He's probably going to see 29, 30 minutes, maybe even more today if Lowry is out. Now, again, this is all if Lowry is out. If he is not out, then by later on today, I may have someone else we may consider. We could still consider Mr. Wright, though, as a budget play at 30. He's at about 3,800, so he may be someone to consider as well. But he's going to have to take some shots. And when he has played in the past for Lowry, he has done that. He's been aggressive, and he's been taking his shots. As you can see in these 29 minutes, he took 11 shots from the floor and 7 from 3. And he was able to get a couple rebounds and a couple assists. He does a little bit of everything, steals, blocks. He had a nice, solid game. If he's able to do that again today, which I think he can, he'll be all right. Or he's going up against Orlando. Orlando's 23rd, as you can see here, defending point guards. They are 13th in fantasy points per game allowed, so they've done fairly well in neutralizing point guards as far as fantasy points are concerned. They're only allowing 25 fantasy points per game, but they did give up 51 and 48 to John Wall in 2 matchups, and they did give 45 to Mr. George Hill. Okay, they were able to hold down, and these were all defended pretty well, from Orlando by DJ Augustin, which I mentioned before, who's a fairly decent defender. But they held Lonzo Ball to 18 and even Mr. Ben Simmons to 23.6 fantasy points thus far this season. So anything could possibly happen, but I like the matchup of him getting the amount of time on the floor, and the usage rate is going to be up today, especially if Lowry is out. All right, we go to shooting guard. At shooting guard, I like today. I put the top man. You can make a case for Bradley Beal. He is at home. I prefer Wall today more than Beal and pay up there. Beal's been really struggling a little bit. Then Tim Hardaway. Even though I'm a Knicks fan, Tim Hardaway, that price is a little high for Tim, but he has been playing very well. Granted, he has put up that kind of value over the last few games. I mean, what he's put up, 45 and 45 in 2 straight games. So that's one of the reasons why he's up at 8K, and also because it's a 4-game slate, so they boost up that price a little bit. I'm willing to come down a little bit more on shooting guard. I think I'm going to have some exposure to Hardaway more so than I will have to Beal, probably 1 or 2 lines. I don't like D'Angelo Russell. I mean, he's just too sporadic for me. CJ McCollum might be a nice option for you guys out there at 6,700. And then Evan Fournier as well at 6,600. But I'm willing to come down to Lou Will at 6,400, who's going to give me pretty much almost the same as CJ and possibly Evan Fournier for a few $100s cheaper. Now, he's on the front end of a back-to-back. He did play last night. He did play 30 minutes last night, but he had a great game. 16, he had a double-double, 16 points, 11 assists, had 7 rebounds as well. And he put up a nice solid 37.9, pretty much 38 fantasy points. He did have a 40 spot 4 games ago. He's been playing very, very well. He's been in an uptrend for a little while now. And we're going to take a look at him a little bit more. Where are you? Because I'm looking at the wrong file. Lou Will. And as you can see, Lou Will has been pretty good. He had a little bit just below value here in these 2 games, but he's been pretty much in the green most of the year. He is getting the usage rate is really, really good for him, man. He's up at about 30% usage rate. 30% usage rate. He's taking about 15, 16 shots a game, as you can see here. And he'll take his occasional threes. He takes about maybe 3 on average per game. But he doesn't bury them often now. If he gets hot from there, he will take a few more. As you can see here, he went 5, 2 or 4. But the other thing he brings to the table, he gets to the free throw line because he's aggressive. He's willing to go, drive to the basket, and he gets himself. He gets some fouls and he gets on the line. 8 of 9, 4 of 4, 14 of 14. He's only missed 2 free throws over the last 4 games. Then you got the rebounding, you got the assist totals, and of course the occasional steals. So Lou Will, man, I really like him here. Washington has had their issues. They're going up in 9th. They're 9th right now at the moment in defending shooting guards. 16th in fantasy points allowed to shooting guards. They're allowing 24.8 fantasy points per game. They also have been giving up 47% from the floor to the opposition, which I found very interesting, and 38% from 3, which are good areas for Lou Will. Lou Will is averaging 47, pretty much almost 50% shooting over the last few games. Clips have also been showing that they have been doing pretty well there as well. As far as the Clippers are concerned, as a team, they're shooting 47% and 38% from 3, while the opposition is doing the same exact, giving that up to the opposition. So again, I kind of like Lou Will in the matchup here. They did give up 32 and 34 to Evan Fournier, 33 to McCollum, and 36 to Josh Richardson. So I think Lou Will is right in the same vicinity as these guys as far as offensively. I think that he will have an awesome opportunity here to put up some nice fantasy points for us. Granted, he did play 30 minutes last night, and he's in the front end of a back-to-back. As far as value down here, with now Tyler Johnson, before I started the video, I did get a notification that Tyler Johnson's out. I think he has a hamstring issue. And then you also have Mr. Dragic out because of the knee. Dwayne Wade, it says he a personal out, but I got notification that he will be playing today, so he will be available to play. I still think that Magruder is definitely still a fine play here, as well as you're going to see with some of the Miami guys. You're going to definitely have to consider Magruder. You're going to have to consider Mr. Wayne Ellington. These guys are in play for certain. So Magruder more suitable for me. You could go with Ellington, either or. I would say either or the two. They're definitely going to get the minutes. Magruder's been taking his shots. Then we're going to go right over here to the shooting guards. Let's go to Magruder. And as you can see, the minutes have been there. He's playing more than enough minutes, and that's what I like. We need him to just obviously bury more shots, convert those a little bit more. 6 of 14 is not too bad, and 5 of 11. Usage rate is not extremely high because obviously Richardson does take a bulk of the usage there, and he's going to get a bump in that as well. Josh Richardson as well today. But 2 of 6, if he gets himself going with the threes, he will be just fine. He's usually about 45-50% from there. And then he could do a little rebounding and assist. Keep the turnovers low. He could definitely get a couple of steals. And the same for Mr. Ellington. Ellington is in play as well. Wayne Ellington, numbers have been pretty decent, 21, 17, 22, 18, and 21. The minutes have been a little sporadic. Last 2 games, he did only have 18 here, but nonetheless, 23% usage rate in the time on the floor because he takes advantage of his time on the floor. It's going to be the same team with Ellington. And he is a guy that's just basically a scorer. He's not going to get a whole. You're not going to get a whole lot out of him if he's shooting the ball and the baskets are going in. He's going to be fine. But when he's not shooting well, you're basically only going to get shots from him because he doesn't do a whole lot of anything else. As you can see, not much rebounding, not much assisting, not much defense. Granted, over here he had 2 steals in this game and 3 here, so you never know. But again, at his price tag of $4,200 or Magruder at $4,900, either one of those two are possibly good value plays today, just due to the fact that they have these injuries and these guys are going to need to step up. So I would say either one of the two will be fine. We could definitely talk about it more on Slack later. We go to small forward. At small forward, Kawhi Leonard is in a great spot too. If there's no Kyle Lowry, he's going to be one that's going to have to put up a lot of shots today. And at 50, you pretty much need 50 at 10K. I think he's someone you can consider. I'll probably have maybe one line I may squeeze him in, but that's only if Lowry, if I know for a fact, is out. I think maybe I would definitely take a shot there because then that opens the door for Orlando to be competitive in this game. If they only got Kyle Lowry, and then of course they still got the front court with Lowry, Siakam, and Ibaka, and Mr. Valanciunas, so they could still get it done and beat up on Orlando pretty bad. But Orlando being at home, who they usually are pretty decent at home, definitely opens the doors for possibly this game staying a little close and giving Kawhi Leonard a chance to put up a massive amount of shots and possibly putting up a nice 50 spot or better here. So he's someone to consider for sure if you're going to pay up on a stud tonight. I think Kawhi is the guy. He's obviously the most expensive guy tonight. But I'm going to come down to Josh Richardson because his usage rate is going to have to be even higher today, and he's got a good favorable matchup against Brooklyn. And he's coming in here with 20 points, 4 rebounds, 3.3 assists, 33 fantasy points per game. Pretty much 7,700. You need about 37. On DK, he's 7,100. You pretty much need 35. He is averaging 33. We come over here and take a look at him a little further. And Mr. Richardson, usage rate is fine. 20% or better over the last 3 games, pretty much most of the year. He's about 20, I would say 22 to 23 on average. And the shots are there. And his usage rate is going to get a bump today. There's no doubt about it. He's going to have to be at more in the 25, 26% range or more today. And he's going to have to play, obviously, more minutes. I would think easily 35 to 40 minutes for Mr. Richardson today. The shots are there. He's taking more than enough. He's taking even threes as well. I mean, we're talking about what, 16, 17 shots per game, about 4 or 5 threes on average per game. He gets to the foul line. He can rebound. He assists. And then, of course, he is capable of playing some defense. He gets a couple steals here and there, and he's capable of getting a couple blocks. Josh Richardson, definitely someone to consider in this matchup against Brooklyn. Brooklyn is 18th in defending small forwards, which they've done fairly well this year. They're 12th. In the NBA as far as fantasy points allowed to small forwards. They've really have done very well there. I've only allowed 22.8 fantasy points per game. And everybody's been defended by Joe Harris. Joe Harris has definitely been tough on a lot of players. Now, granted, Kevin Durant put up 57 on them. But other than that, pretty much they held down Wiggins to 28, Covington to 9, Stanley Johnson to 24. I mean, they haven't faced a whole lot of big stud guys, but Tobias Harris did put up 38, and of course Durant 57. They're the two more popular small forwards that you may want to consider that they have faced. So, but nonetheless, I still like Richardson here. Just knowing the factors that they have those injuries and that he is going to have to play more minutes. I like the whole idea there of Josh Richardson. Other than that, coming down here, Gallinari's out. That obviously opens up the doors more to Tobias Harris. Definitely a fine play. I love Mr. Montrezl Harrell. It's going to be interesting tonight if Gallinari is out as well. As you can see here, game time decision on the illness. Not too high on Otto Porter. I always like a little bit more Kelly Oubre. So I'm going to speak about Oubre here at 5,000. Another guy that you got to definitely consider here, and it should be in your player pool, would be Justice Winslow at 5K. He's more than likely going to start at the point. Usually when Goran is out, usually Justice is the one that plays. So we should see a little bit of a usage bump on Mr. Winslow. Kelly Oubre Jr., 12 points, 4 rebounds, pretty much almost 1 assist a game, 22.6 fantasy points per game. At 5K, you need 25. And on DK, he's 4,600. You really only need 22, 23, which is about his average. He's capable of doing that. As we see, he has 30, 35-point upside or better, 29 and 27 minutes over the last 2 games. And I think I went too far. And Mr. Oubre. And Kelly here, man, minutes, like I said, 29 and 28 over the last 2 games. Porter has been a little bit struggling, and this guy has played well. And they've gone small a few times. The last game, Mr. Dwight Howard was a little banged up. He played more minutes there. I could expect a little bit more of a bump in minutes there as well, especially if Howard is out. I could definitely see him playing a little bit more with Porter, maybe even on the court. 7 of 14, 2 of 6 in the last game. Usage rate, it's a little up and down. I would say when he is in use, when they're utilizing him and the minutes are good like they did here, he has been getting about 25% usage rate. It's at 22 in the last game. He did put up 38 in the last game, but he's capable of hitting threes. He shoots about maybe 9 or 10 shots a game. He takes about maybe 3 or 4 threes on average per game. He gets to the foul line. He's pretty good on the foul line as well, and he's capable of getting rebounds and assists, and he's also pretty decent as far as defensively. He's gotten pretty much a steal almost in every game this year, and he's got himself his share of blocks as well. They're going up against the Clippers. Clippers definitely have had issues with small forwards. 29th in defending small forwards this year, and they are 21st in fantasy points allowed to small forwards, allowing 33.2 fantasy points per game, which is fairly big. In the last 3 games, they are now giving up more than 6 or 7 more additional fantasy points than they were doing prior to the 3 games. They did give up 59.7, pretty much a 60 spot to DeRozan, 66 to Durant, 41 to Covington, and 54 to Paul George, all top-notch small forwards. They were all defended by Tobias Harris. So we will see how that pans out. Tobias Harris is in a good spot today as well because Washington has had their issues in defending these small forwards as well as power forwards. So that's where we at there. If you were looking for any value there, like I said, Winslow is someone definitely to consider. Evan Turner is definitely someone that I am considering. I definitely also have Mr. Jeff Green as a possibility as well on my player pool. And then you cannot pass up as a value budget play. As a budget play, which I normally give you guys, you got to consider Damari Carroll here as well for Brooklyn. Slowly but surely, his minutes are coming up. He was one of their top scorers last year, integral part of their offense. It's just a matter of time before Mr. Carroll gets himself going as well. Let's go to power forward. At power forward, kind of like all 3 guys, all these 5 guys on the top here, I definitely like them all, and I think they're all should be in someone's lineup in some capacity today. If you're making multiple lineups, you got to have some exposure to Tavares Harris and Mr. Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon, needs to step up for Orlando. He is priced pretty decent here as far as price is concerned. It is on the lower side, which is he definitely has the upside to get you 50 or better. His price is even better on DK, so if you wanted to play him on DK, I'm going to have exposure to Tavares Harris, maybe not so much so on Gordon. I like the matchup better for Mr. Harris, but I gave you guys Harrell last night, and I'm going to go with him. I'm going right back to the well. I definitely like Montrezl Harrell once again here today as my stud power forward, because he plays not only the 4, he plays the 5 pretty much for the Clippers. So that is going to open the doors for me to have him in a matchup that he's going to have to deal with broken up Dwight Howard or no Dwight Howard. And that's going to even be more better for Mr. Montrezl Harrell. On top of that, at center, I'm going to have a nice solid center as well. So I'm going to be able to definitely capitalize and have pretty much two scoring threats from opportunities from guys that are probably going to be playing center. But Montrezl Harrell, 15 points, 6.9 rebounds, pretty much 7 rebounds a game, 1.5 assists, 33 fantasy points per game at 7,500. You need 37. And on DK, he's 6,600, only need 33 over there, which is about his average. Definitely should play him on DK. I have no problem with playing him on Fanduel. He was the same price pretty much, I believe, yesterday as well. Again, granted, he is on a front end of a back-to-back, so just remember that. But he's been solid, man. 59 last night, 32, 32, 47. He's been pretty much in the green throughout the entire season. The minutes are there, 27 to as much as 32 minutes, and the usage rate pretty much 21 to 22% on average over the course of the last 6-7 games. Field goals, all there. He gets about maybe 10, let's say 10. I would say 9 to 10 on average per game over the course of the last 6-7 games. And look at this. He got to the foul line 18 times last night. 11 rebounds, and he brings this to the table. The steals and the blocks, man. The guy is just a plain animal when it comes to that. He just loves it. He thrives on wanting to block somebody's shot and to get a couple of steals. This guy is very, very, very active. I definitely love him a lot. He's coming in here. He's going up against Washington. Washington, respectively, here, they are 4th in defending power forwards this year. 4th. 20th in fantasy points allowed, though, to power forwards, allowing 25.4 fantasy points per game. They did give up 39.7, pretty much a 40 spot to Larry Nance Jr. They gave up 44 and 34 to Aaron Gordon in 2 matchups. And Mr. Jeremy Grant of the Oklahoma City Thunder put up 41 on them. So, yeah, I think if you count Nance and Gordon and Grant, and these guys got in there in the high 30s, in the 40s, in those matchups, I can see Montrezl here having a field day. And he is in such good shape, I don't see him having an issue with playing again on a back-to-back. I'm not even concerned, Mr. Harrell. Other than that, when it comes down to the bottom, if you want to find really low value, I mean, this is the area that I said at the beginning of the video. I think we could pay up for a Harris and Harrell today, or a Gordon and Harrell, or even a Siakam or Ibaka combo, or a Harrell with one of these two. I'm going to be doing lineups with these guys. I think these 5 guys, you definitely should pay up to the power forward position today. I think they're all in favorable matchups where they can really put up some serious numbers. And then again, that's just my opinion, but the numbers, when I look at them, just basically tells me, and the matchup just tells me that should be an opportunity that we shouldn't pass up. Now, if you wanted to come down really cheap, you could always consider the Minu. I think the Knicks with Vonleh and Knox, those are 2 young guys. You could definitely go with those guys. Knox is at 4,800. You need 24. On DK, he's 4K. You need 20. Can get you there. Hasn't played a whole lot of games as of yet, but I believe that he can definitely get you there. Mr. Vonleh, we already know he can get you more than 20. He's 4,100 here. He's 3,900 on DK, so you pretty much need 19 or 20 from him. He got 20 in his last outing in 34 minutes. So his minutes have been okay. He's getting 20 minutes to as much as maybe 24, 25 on average over the last few games, but the points, we need to get that over 20, over 21, 22. So a little concerned there, but he does have 30-point upside. As you can see, he got 30 here and 37 there. And pretty much Knox has not been in that area as of yet. So a little concerned with that. But he has, 20-point upside at the moment. So it's really, really tough. I think today is a day that you definitely pay up at power forward. That's just my recommendation. I definitely love everybody from Ibaka, Siakam, all the way up to Harris. They're all in play for me, and they're all in my player pool. We go over to center. Definitely like Vuk. I will have exposure to Vuk. He'll probably be in at least 2 lineups of mine at that price. But you cannot pass up on Whiteside, man. Whiteside at 8,600. Now, granted, he hasn't played well against the Brooklyn Nets, but the Nets, I mean, they have issues at center. Out of all the teams in today's slate, as far as how they defended centers, the Brooklyn Nets are the worst team on the slate. And Miami's got to take advantage of it. With the injuries Miami has, they have to work this ball inside. Josh Richardson is going to have to be aggressive, and Mr. Whiteside is going to have to be aggressive up front as well against Mr. Allen. So he comes in here, 8,600. You need 43. On DK, he's 8K. You only need 40. He's averaging 40. All right? He's averaging 40. When I look at him a little bit further, as far as how he's played, he has struggled over the last 4 games. After he was doing so well, 82, 44, and a 50 spot, he has been downtrending. But, I mean, I really, the matchup is something I can't pass up. His price tag is down. He's down to 8,600. He was once 9,500, 9,300. So we're getting a nice $800 discount, $900 discount since that 9,500 here. You got to take advantage of it before he goes back up again. And he's in a favorable matchup against Brooklyn. Brooklyn's coming in here. Well, first things first, his usage rate is good, over 20% over the last 4 games. He's getting his shots. You know, he's going to get a lot of close shots under the basket, a lot of putbacks, a lot of alley-oops. That's what he's going to get. And on top of that, he's capable of getting more, massive amount of rebounds. And he is a shot blocker. As you can see, that big 9-block game here. But look at that. He has had pretty much 2 or 3 blocks a game or more all throughout the entire season. He doesn't go a game without one. So, I mean, we need to continue. If he could have a big game and get 5, 6, 7 blocks and get a couple of steals, that's great. But we need him to convert and get over some of those, close shots that he gets. If he can do that, he'll be just fine. I think he did definitely smash 50 or better here tonight for certain against Brooklyn. Brooklyn's coming in. They're 21st, as you can see here, defending centers. They are 25th in fantasy points allowed to centers this year, allowing 42.7 fantasy points per game. 42. If they are averaging 42 fantasy points on them, then there's no reason why Mr. Whiteside cannot get 42 or better. And if that's going to be his floor for today, as far as fantasy points, I'll be willing to take that at 8,600. But I really truly believe he can get us more than that. I think he can get us at 50 or better today and get and put us in that good spot as far as center. As far as centers, lately I haven't had any centers that you can say for value. I mean, the only other center that I'm going to definitely have some exposure to is, like I said, I'm going to have some exposure to Vukovic, but I also will have some exposure to Enes Kanter of the Knicks. At 6,500, I mean, I would think he's going to start today, and he's going to have to be very, very physical with Nurkic. And if he can get Nurkic in foul trouble, it's just going to open the doors for Kanter to do even better. But Kanter is a good player. I think he could definitely play against any one of these guys any given night. The Knicks just need to play him a little bit more. I know they want to go with Mr. Robinson quite a bit, the young kid. They didn't go to him to a whole lot in the last game. I think he only played him 8 or 9 minutes. Yeah, just 8 minutes in the last game. So, again, I would think Kanter is the man here tonight. At 6,500, man, he is a guy that's a 7,500 player, maybe even higher than that. He has 50-point upside, no doubt about it. He's averaging 32. Portland's coming in there 20th in defense against centers and coughing up 27 fantasy points per game. But out of all the teams that are playing tonight, Portland have given up the least amount of fantasy points per game to centers out of all the teams. Coming in, Brooklyn is the worst, and then the Clippers have given up the most after that, 39.7 fantasy points per game, which you could very easily go with one of the Washington guys. But Dwight Howard more than likely is not going to play. So it's either you're going to get that tremendous amount of fantasy points is going to come out of maybe a Mike Scott, who might fill in the shoes, Mohimi, someone like that. I don't see, again, down here at the bottom, like I said, maybe it's just Mohimi, because if there's no Howard, I think he will play some minutes. You can definitely get him as a budget at 3,500 and can fill in, and you can definitely pay up at least on one stud guard on a Wall or Damian Lillard if you wanted to. But like I said, I really truly believe today is a good day. Now, don't get me wrong. I will have some exposure to Wall, like I said before. I'm not lying about any of the stuff I say. I'm definitely going to, because I make multiple lineups. It's totally different. If I'm going to make one solid lineup today and only play 1 or 2 lineups on GPP, I will probably tell you and advise you to make your lineup with you paying down at guard. And that's just my recommendation. But again, it's just my opinion. You could take it for what it's worth. I mean, it's just pretty much might not be worth nothing to anybody, but at the same time, it's just the way I see it. I think that you could definitely pay up as power forward and center, and I think you'll get just as good a value as if you were to pay down. If you were to pay down in those 2 positions, I think you will not be able to get the best possible value. That's just my opinion. All right, so that's pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. The next time we have a 3-4 game slate, I'll probably use the optimizer, like throw some of these guys that I like. As a matter of fact, maybe I could just draw one real quickly here before I go. Power forward, like I said, at point guard, we could throw in there Lillard. We could throw in there Wall. Let's see what the optimizer here, Fantasy Cruncher, spits out at us as far as lineups are concerned. I definitely, like I told you, I like Dinwiddie. You could have some consideration of Trey Burke or Moutier, Van Fleet and Wright, and I would say DJ Augustin. And that's about it. Shooting guard, as far as interest, Hardaway, McCollum, Lou Will, Ellington and Magruder, I mentioned. Maybe Mr. Trier, Ross, and I think that'll be it there. Definitely Lillard, Richardson, Oubre. I like Jeff Green as a low value play, 4,200. Evan Turner's not a bad spot either. Winslow, obviously. Carroll. And I think that is pretty much it there. A small forward that I really like. Harris, Gordon, Harrell, Ibaka, Siakam, Aminu, Ed Davis as a low value play, Kevin Knox, Vonleh, and Mike Scott. I think those are the only ones that I will consider in this player pool. And then we got Vuk, Whiteside, Cantor, and I think that's it. Cantor. Let's throw in there Nurkic as well. Valanciunas wouldn't be a bad play. It's just that he don't play a whole lot of minutes. And let's make these, let's do 50 lineups. And let's see what happens. 50 lineups, and let's see what the percentages look like and what lineups comes out with. All right? Now, granted, this is not for certain. This is just to throw something out there for you guys. And as you can see over here, it's calculating. And we got 25, 30 lineups already. And it seems like Tobias Harris is 100%. And that's where we at. 50 lineups made, and we have here, look over here on the left-hand side, ladies and gentlemen, Tobias Harris 100% in every one of the 50 lineups. Aaron Gordon 100%. Damian Lillard 100%. So go figure. See, I'm telling you to pay down at guard. You could pay up and play Damian Lillard. Now, these are some of the lineups that were created here. I don't play a lot of these. I'd be totally honest with you. I play 1 or 2 of these lineups once in a while if I feel like I really like the lineup. Now, I haven't looked at these yet. I'm spitting this out here as we're doing the video. But the bottom line is, I like to look to see what are the percentages and see if it's something that I really like out of the guys that are being calculated here. They got Jeff Green 88% and then Wayne Ellington 72%. Those are 2 value plays right there. So definitely that leads me to think, hey, you know what? When I do look at my list later, maybe Jeff Green and Ellington will be some of those value plays that are probably in that 4K or below 4K range. Vukovic is at 66. Oubre is there as well. We got Alonzo Trier. And it goes down. And obviously the very bottom ones are Mr. Wright, Ross, even Tim Hardaway Jr., only 2%. He was only put in 1 lineup. Winslow, wow, surprisingly, Van Fleet. See, it's hard to go with these optimizers, at least in my opinion for me. I love working on Fantasy Cruncher. I don't use it for optimizing lineups. I create pretty much my lineups myself, but I utilize this percentage thing here. And if I wanted to make this 100 lineups, I do that, and it will populate and give me what. But what I do is I play around with this, and then I eliminate a few guys that I definitely don't want, because you want to bring down your player pool to about, I would say, 15 to 18 players. And that's pretty much the way I do it. So right now the player pool, if we go over here to the top, the player pool right now is 36 players. So by the end of the day, I want to get this down to about 18 that I really, really love. So I do a little bit more due diligence, look at it over some other statistics, look at some, and then narrow it down to the point that I want my last like 15 to 18 players. And those would be the 15, 18 players that I would, offer to people. That's the bottom line. But right now, 36 players, and this is what we've gotten. Okay, so again, if you want to use any of these lineups, you could pause the video and check it. This one is projected to put up 288 fantasy points, which is not even in the 300 club. But nonetheless, you got some players here. And that's basically it, ladies and gentlemen. So anyway, drop a like on the video, like I said. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so already. And basically, that's it. Good luck tonight. Remember, get together with us on the Slack chat. We'll be talking more about the slate later. And that's basically it, man. Good luck, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.